tell Amar. Max is not going to Mercedes. Red Bull, what the heck has happened to them? They went from winning all but one race in 2023 and winning the first seven races of 2024 to now having a car that can barely get itself on the podium, even in Max Verstappen's prodigious hands. So what's going on? Their team seems to be imploding. We've already done a video on that. Jonathan Wheatley, their sporting director, has headed off to be team principal at Audi, which actually sounds like it's going to be pretty good for Audi. And their star designer, the guy that's been there since 2006 and designed every single one of those championship winning Red Bulls, and even some that didn't, to be fair, Adrian Newey has gone. So what's left? Well, I'll tell you what's left. Max Verstappen's left. Max Verstappen's still there, but he's hanging on by a thread. And the more you listen to him in races, the more worried I am that he's not going to stay there. What you might hear over the radio is calmness and just being content with how things are. To me, sounds like he's resigned to the fact that Red Bull are not getting back to the top. And you know what that means to me? I don't think he's staying. We've said on this channel more and more that he's going to leave because there's just no reason for him to stay anymore. They don't have a harmonious team and they don't have a car that can win. So what is keeping him there? More to the point, where would he go? And we have said repeatedly on this channel that we think he's going to Mercedes, but perhaps we have been wrong because there is another team in the south of England that looks like they might be building up into something pretty stratospheric. That team, Aston Martin. Lawrence Stroll, Papa Stroll, the big daddy, he has been pumping huge amounts of money into Aston Martin. Just have a think about what they have in terms of hardware and what's been coming their way in the last year or two. They've had a brand spanking new wind tunnel. They've got a brand spanking new driver and loop simulator. They've got a technical structure that takes in the best and brightest in Formula One. Their CEO is Andy Cowell. This is the guy that essentially wrote the book on F1 power units in the hybrid era that took Mercedes-Benz to eight Constructors' Championships. Eight. He is the Adrian Newey of engines in this era, anyway. They have poached some of the best from teams outside of their own. Enrico Cardile from Ferrari has been poached as their chief technical officer. Dan Fallows, already in post, has been nabbed from Red Bull as Adrian Newey's right-hand man. And now we are starting to hear in more and more confirmed tones that Adrian Newey is almost certainly going to Aston Martin in 2025. Ferrari had their go. They didn't want to enter into a bidding war. They couldn't convince him to set up a copy of the Guildford Technical Office, the GTO that John Barnard had in the 90s when he was the technical director at Ferrari. They couldn't do it. So who swooped in? Lawrence Stroll. And what does that mean? Well, that means that I think Max Verstappen has a bit of a choice in front of him. Do you stay at Red Bull? I think the answer to that is no. Do you go to Mercedes? Well, that shop looks like it's closed. Kimi Antonelli's just been signed up. George Russell looks like he's going to stay there for a little longer as well. And to be fair, would he be top dog in a team that seems so heavily invested in this 18-year-old prodigy, the next Max Verstappen? Does he want to be Max Verstappen versus Max Verstappen of the future? I don't know. So why would he go to Aston Martin? Well, here's a couple of reasons. Number one, Adrian Newey is going there, the preeminent designer in Formula One, the guy that's going to get you a title if there's a title to be had. Honda, he gets reunited with them in 2026 on a works partnership. And you saw how powerful that partnership was towards the end of 2021. Harmony and speed. They've got a technical structure that is going to be built around what Adrian Newey wants to do. How that works in terms of the other high profile hirings, I don't know. I'm still skeptical, but the Adrian Newey magic is going to be there. And that means he's going to have a quick car. Harmony, speed. That's all Max Verstappen wants. But there's some caveats. Why might he not want to go to Aston Martin? Well, Let's talk about that. Who's there right now? Fernando. Fernando Alonso is desperate for a third world title. And if he hears that Adrian Newey is coming over, if he knows that he's coming, he's going to do everything he can to stay for 2025 and perhaps longer. Because if he can do that, then maybe he can get his grubby little hands on that third title he cherishes so much. It's driving him mad. How are they going to kick him out? Where are they going to take him? Because let's be honest, the only way that Max gets into a seat in Aston Martin is if Fernando goes, because the other guy, he's not going there. And let's talk about the elephant in the room. Lance freaking Stroll. Stroll Jr., the guy that Papa Stroll has built that team for. He's not going to want to go if Adrian Newey is coming in. But there's a couple of things that he won't have banked on. Adrian Newey makes fast cars, not easy cars. Not everyone has got the genius to get the best out of them. Just look at what's happened at Red Bull right now. Max is at the front every race. Checo's nowhere to be seen. And it was the same with Pierre Gasly. It was the same with Alex Albon. Difficult car, massively fast in one person's hands. Sebastian Vettel did the same thing to Mark Webber. And you go back and you go further and you go further. And it's always one driver that can get the most out of it. And it's not always that easy for the second driver to do the same thing. So then what happens? If Papa Stroll is that keen for his son to win in an Adrian Newey car, in any car, but for Adrian Newey to be at the helm, the best there's ever been, that's why you get him. You get him to make your son the champion. But what if he can't do it? What if the car just doesn't click for him? Is he gonna we're gonna slow the car down to make it easier for Stroll to win races or to get the most out of it? That's not how you win a title. Adrian Newey does go to Aston Martin, and when he goes there, if he wins a title with Lance Stroll, oof. I think if there was ever a way to sign off your career as the greatest of all time, it's to make Lance Stroll the champion of the world in one of your cars. But if that doesn't happen, they need to get rid of Fernando. They need to get in Max Verstappen. And I do wonder if the moves are going to start being made. We've already heard that Lawrence Stroll is starting to court Max. We've got Adrian Newey. We've got Andy Cowell. They've got Honda. The only person they need now is Max. Watch this space. And as usual, if you like what we're doing here, please like, please subscribe, please leave us a comment. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, don't tell Amar.